All right, Nuggets fans, welcome into Pickaxe and Roll, brought to you by our good friends over at BetOnline. I am your host, Ryan Blackburn at NBA Blackburn on Twitter, part of the Mile High Sports Podcast Network, and I am here. I am excited to talk about last night's Denver Nuggets win as they defeated the Portland Trailblazers. Final score 146 to 117. That was a crazy game. And a fun win, a fun game to attend and definitely just be a part of. It's you never know what you're going to get in situations like these, especially right before the All-Star break. Sometimes the games are great and sometimes the games are horrible. But this one was fantastic, and fantastic for one individual in particular that I'm very excited to talk about later. Jalen Pickett, career night for him. We'll get into talking about what he did in the second segment of this show. Just a lot of fun to be able to see him succeed. And there's a lot of other guys to talk about, including Nikola Jokic, Christian Braun, Jamal Murray, who got ejected in this game. Just lots of fun things to go over. But we will go over them in just a second. Ozair is back in the comments. Hello from Pakistan. Hope you're doing well, Ryan. I feel hopeful seeing Pickett and Zeke perform. 8th and 9th man in the rotation this year. Whew, I mean, I don't know about 8th and 9th. Maybe they're 8th and 9th man right now. When everybody gets healthy, I think things will probably normalize just a little bit. But glad to see them being successful, of course. Like especially in the opportunities that they get. Patrick McMahon is here. Malone will stop giving these guys runs soon enough, unless management is forcing his hand. He will stop giving them run eventually, but I mean, that's because, remember, Russell Westbrook was super helpful in games earlier this year, and Peyton Watson's still somebody that the team is they believe a ton in. So I think got to give Malone a little bit of the benefit of the doubt on that one. There's a reason why Russell Westbrook and Peyton Watson were playing earlier. Now I do think that what this shows is that there's a little bit more in the tank for some of those guys, and that's exciting. But that's really where we're going to focus. Oscar Paez says, hey, Ryan from NY, I'm guessing New York. Hello, Oscar. Good to see you. And Dr. Van Nostrand, who always comes up and says hi at the games. Always come up and say hi at the games, folks. It's always great to see folks, and whether they're a fan of Locked On or Pickaxe and Roll. I love seeing folks that pop in. And Dr. Van Nostrand always around. We'll get into a lot in these next couple of segments. Just going to do two today, probably about 2 15-minute segments. We'll get into all of it. But first, I want to talk to everybody about BetOnline. Then obviously there's a big game that just happened. A lot of other things that have happened over the course of these past couple days over the sports world. NBA world is changing like crazy. And if you want to get it on the most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting in 2025, you got to make sure to go over to BetOnline. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, they are your ultimate game day companion with a large selection of odds on everything from NBA, college basketball, NHL, and UFC, and much more. BetOnline continues to be your number one source. Head on over to their website to get in on the action. betonline.ag. BetOnline, the game starts here. Once again, I'm your host, Ryan Blackburn. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. Hit that like button if you can. Hit that subscribe button. Would really, really appreciate it. All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty of this one. 7 wins in a row, folks. Kind of wild to think about. 7 wins in a row. I guess not super wild when you're looking at the actual schedule. You're thinking, okay, when are the Nuggets going to be successful? Well, it's probably when they face a whole bunch of teams that are injured or a sub 500 or kind of in a bad place for themselves. And look, you play the teams that are in front of you. And Denver has had really tough moments in their schedule as well. They're going to have some really tough moments after the All-Star break. There's no doubt about that. But right now, they're in a pretty decent spot. One of the interesting factors in this game, though, was that Portland won 10 of 12 games coming into this one, and they had the number one defense in the entire NBA in the last 12 games heading into this one. And so the Nuggets, of course, have been very successful on the offensive end. Portland's been great on the defensive end. What's going to happen? Well, Denver hung 146 on them. It was a blowout almost immediately. Denver won every single quarter and just were thoroughly dismantling Portland throughout this game. Kind of wild to think about. Jeremy Grant did not play in this one. Michael Porter did not play in this one. And so Portland had a couple of weaknesses within their lineup. Anthony Simons and Scoot Henderson specifically, like that was a tough matchup for those two guys. But even like Denny Avdia, Tumani Kamara, Jabari Walker played a little bit. Shaden Sharp, when he came in, was pretty horrible defensively. And Delano Banton played a whole bunch of minutes, and he was a factor later in this game with Jamal Murray. But just a lot of guys that had been successful for them on the defensive end over the past 12 games, Denver kind of exposed. It was awesome to watch. And just, I think, Denver continuing to show that there are just levels to this thing and that Denver is truly an elite offense. And the formula that they have with Jokic kind of being as aggressive as he is, Aaron Gordon playing that point forward role, Jamal Murray picking and choosing his spots, and then Christian Braun getting downhill, it's been really cool. It's been really great. And like that's about as easy for Denver as they could possibly make it. But Portland was contesting shots early, like pretty reasonably well. And they although it is funny, they racked up a total of 4 steals and 4 blocks. Portland did. Not a lot of defensive production there. And Denver, they only had 6 offensive rebounds on the night. But the factor was Denver nearly set records in 2-point percentage and just were absolutely dominant. 88 points in the paint. Christian Braun had 22 of those out of his 26 points. He was dynamic. But Nikola Jokic is where we should really focus first. 40 points, 8 assists, 7 rebounds. No triple-double for him, but that was because he was so busy scoring and dominating in this game. Just a tremendous night for him. And it happened like with ease at the beginning of the game. But the one that really kicked it off was the shot in the deep corner where he catches the ball with about 5 seconds left on the shot clock, realizes he's got nowhere to go in the corner, dribbles further into the corner, and then chucks up a 3 and somehow hits it over DeAndre Ayton. Just a ridiculous, ridiculous shot. And like that's just what he does, though. And this season, I think more than any, Jokic has made crazier and crazier shots. I don't know if it's a confidence thing. I don't know if it's just a willingness to try things kind of thing. He's taken more heaves than anybody, which is classified as a shot from beyond half court, right at the end of the quarter or the end of the half. And when you have things like that, like when you have a guy who's willing to do those things, it's very rarely your superstar player. Like, think about what Vlatko was doing for Denver in previous seasons, where he was their half-court specialist kind of guy. He didn't necessarily want other guys to take it. It's gonna lower the 3-point percentage. It's just not it's a low percentage shot. Guys don't necessarily want to have to do that. And because if people worry about their 3-point percentages, if there's like a bonus that's tied to it, then you can understand why. Jokic has been more than willing, though, to take some of these shots, and he continues to prove just how insane his touch is. And it's been a lot of fun to watch him, of course, this year, but for a variety of reasons. He just dominates in every facet of the game, and this is just another one of them. There was a moment in the third quarter where the physicality kind of ramped up. Jokic got there was a no call that went against him. Anthony Simons decided to run block him into the Blazers sideline to try to then collect the ball. And then on the other side, Jokic, he had an offensive foul, basically doing the exact same thing, but just with the ball in his hands. And so it looked like he was getting a little bit frustrated. And kind of looked like all game, there was a sense of him being a little frustrated. But he worked through it and continued to dominate. And I think that might have, at various points, he might have gotten a little bit pissed off in a good way. It definitely motivated him to do some wild stuff. And he just continues to make it happen. And like 40 points in 3 quarters on 15 of 22 from the field, including 13 of 15 from 2-point range. It's just ridiculous. And like against this Blazers defense, which I know Ayton is nobody to write home about. Donovan Clingan is also a rookie, but Clingan is a really elite rim protector already in this league. So there's a lot of reasons why he could have struggled. And I guess he did struggle. He had 5 turnovers. Ooh. He's insane, man. He's just insane. Christian Braun, as I mentioned, 22 of his 26 points were in the paint. He was dominant. That was a call that I made in the preview. I was like, hey, who are the matchup weaknesses for the Blazers? Well, if they've got Jeremy Grant playing and Toumani Camara playing and Deni Avdija playing and DeAndre Ayton playing, and they've got Anthony Simons playing, you should probably attack the guy that's being guarded by Anthony Simons. And that was Christian Braun for much of the night. He was also being defended by Scoot Henderson for some points, but like it was just very easy to figure out where Denver should go, and Christian just took full advantage of that. Plus 34 in 37 minutes. The Nuggets were actually -5 in the 11 minutes that he did not play. Part of that was garbage time, but not a big deal. Christian was just unbelievable once again. And some of the moves that he's starting to make are really, really impressive. Like there's a sequence in the second quarter, I want to say, where he took, was it Deni Avdija off the dribble? It was somebody off the, oh no, it was Delano Banton off the dribble. And he put him in the spin cycle. He waited for him to fly by and then laid it up on the left side of the rim. And it was one of those moves where you can understand the patience and the ability to string together some moves, and the confidence and willingness to try stuff like is just there. Something that I didn't bring up on Locked On last night that I think I should. He's using the jump stop extremely well this year. So many times last year, he was just driving and jumping and trying to finish wherever he ended up. Now he is using the jump stop and he's hitting that floater or that jump hook or kind of an up and under and being a little bit more crafty with how he delivers the ball. Opponents still can't really block that shot because of how athletic he is, and he uses that length and athleticism that he has to get the shot up off over them. And if he doesn't have an angle, then he passes it out. He very rarely turns it over in those situations. And he actually committed a charge in transition last night. And I turned to Vinny Benedetto, who sits next to me at the games, and was like, I'm kind of surprised that he hasn't done that more this season. And you think about it, you think about how often he's actually committed things like offensive fouls. It's not often. And that is a credit to him and a credit to him for, even though it sometimes looks like he's driving out of control, it is in control. It's something he knows what he's doing. And it's just his willingness to be able to make it happen. Like, here is the key. Last year, he committed 4 offensive fouls. The year before, as a rookie, he committed 4 offensive fouls. Actually, oh no, this is my mistake. This is fouls drawn. Last year, he committed 13 offensive fouls. This year, he's committed 9 in more minutes. Like, he has been under control a lot more. He has been playing within him, not playing within himself, but he's taken more chances, but more smart chances. And it hasn't led to bad stuff. And just been, of course, really impressed with how he has continued to improve. But beyond that, you have to just be about as impressed as possible with the finishing around the rim. Last year, he was shooting from the 3 to 10 foot zone, the floater zone, 33.9%, 34% from 3 to 10 feet. This year, he's at 52.8% in a zone where it's like, it's good if you're above 42, 45 in that general range. He's at 53 or pretty close to it. And he takes a fair amount of his shots from there. It doesn't even account for the fact that he's shooting nearly 75% at the rim itself. So his finishing and his driving has just been tremendous. And it's been a lot of fun to watch him. It is the perfect complement to what Jokic does and what Porter does specifically. I'm not even sure about Murray, not sure about Aaron Gordon, but with Porter, he will also drive and cut, and he finishes with his size, with his length, and he has done a good job with that specifically. But it's the spacing and the willingness to take those outside shots and just let it fly from out there. That Braun, Porter, Jokic, I really do think could be the trio that Denver focuses in on with their starters. And then it allows guys like Jamal Murray and Aaron Gordon, who staggered in this game, to then stagger with the second unit in the playoffs. So there is something to that. And I really like what I've seen from that group. I really like what I've seen from Christian Braun. One more thing before we hit a break. Jamal Murray, I thought, played a pretty solid game. I wouldn't say it's crazy or anything, but like, you just look at the numbers in 29 minutes, 17 points, 7 of 10 from the field, 1 of 2 from 3, 8 assists, 2 steals, 1 turnover, was a plus 22 in his 29 minutes. The numbers were there. He definitely, like facing Toumani Camara, who's a great perimeter defender, took him to school. He, like, every time he had Camara on him, he was cautious. He knew exactly what he needed to do to generate space and was very crafty. At any time he had anybody else on him, he was attacking. He was taking advantage of that opportunity. And whether it was Avdia, whether it was Simons or Scoots, whether it was anybody else, he did a really good job of that. Playing great offense, doing a lot of great things, just fun to watch him operate. And he did get ejected. He did get baited into, before that, the and one that he hit, the 360 layup and one, sick. Just disgusting. Like, that's not something that people just do, you know? Like, that's a crazy shot. And that, I don't know where the NBA top 10 went and what things ranked on what places, but that had to rank pretty highly after last night. That is an incredible circus shot. And then he got ejected. It was definitely his fault, but it was kind of a soft ejection still. He got baited into talking some mess after an and one, and I understand why. He's yelling and kind of screaming and kind of in Toumani Camara's general direction. Delano Banton was definitely like, "Why did you do that?" Jabari Walker pushed him. He went to the free throw line. They were still talking. He was talking. And then they got double T's. And then that was his second T, because after Jokic was like, he had that no call that was against him where DeAndre Ayton basically landed on top of him. Malone and Murray both went to his defense and were just yelling like crazy. Like, did you not just see the play that happened on the other end of the floor where you gave that marginal contact a foul? Why is Jokic being landed on top of and not getting a call? So they went to bat for him. I know Nuggets fans like to see that. You don't like to see anybody getting ejected, of course, but still, not a big deal. It was great to see Murray play well. It was great to see the Nuggets play well. And as Dr. Van Nostrand says here, can we petition the league to never let Ben Taylor ref our games again? You'd have to get in line with 29 other teams who also seem to hate him. Like, he's just very bad at his job. And somebody retweeted a tweet that I had last year that was very negative against Ben Taylor then. It was like something like Ben Taylor is insane or horrible. I don't even remember what I said, but it was something about Ben Taylor. And so this has happened. This has happened to Denver before. They don't get Ben Taylor a lot, but clearly Murray has an issue with him, which guys have issues with a lot of different refs. Fred VanVleet clearly had an issue with Ben Taylor, and that's why he got demoted last year. So lots of stuff there. When we come back, I will answer this question from Jose in the comments, and then we'll talk about Jaylen Pickett, who deserves a ton of time to talk about what he's accomplished over the course of these last couple of games, but especially last night. We will be right back on Pickaxe and Roll. All right, we are back. Pickaxe and Roll. Ryan Blackburn here. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. Thanks for hanging out on a Tuesday morning. Quick word on my schedule going forward. I'll be doing this show. I'm going to be doing one more on Thursday, and that will be it for Pickaxe and Roll until next week. Going to try to take a long weekend given the All-Star break, and we'll try to take as much time as possible just to rest, relax, and recover. Not sure what the Locked On schedule is going to look like. I assume I'll probably do a show on Thursday as well for that. But we'll see. We will see what ultimately happens and then how it looks, and just try to get as much rest and recovery as possible. That's what everybody definitely needs from Ryan, because Ryan's dragging at this point. He is doing what he can to get through it. Okay. Josie in the comments asks, Ryan, any updates on Vlatko and how is Holmes progressing in his recovery? Well, it's funny you ask. Heard that Vlatko, I don't remember who said, it was one of the reporters in the reporting room, said that there was a chance, I think it was Vinny, reported in Phoenix. Okay, I also just realized that the music's been playing in the background, so sorry. Not great. Not great for Ryan. Vlatko there's a chance that he comes back post All-Star break. Chance that he comes back before Peyton Watson, which that was something that Michael Malone said in the comments, or not in the comments, in the pregame when talking to somebody about Peyton Watson's timetable and recovery, and talking about Vlatko and then how he was progressing. He took a route with surgery that was effectively like, hey, you could either end your season and get a full procedure to try to recover, or you could take a half measure and try to come back a little bit sooner. Probably going to leave you with some more long-term issues. Vlatko decided he wanted to take the short-term solution, try to get back on the court, and we'll see how that affects him. We'll see what he can do. I hope he's able to come back out there. I'm not really counting on much from him, but it is possible that he does come back and do some good things. I would love to see it, believe me. As for Holmes, Michael Porter actually reported, I don't know if this is like how true this is, but he said that, yeah, it seems like Duran is actually ahead of schedule in his recovery and in his rehab. So if that's the case, then great. I don't think that he's in line to play at all this year. I've listed him on the rotation charts as out for season, and I stand by that based off of what I've heard. But who knows? Like maybe he is available from a physical perspective by the end of the season, but they just don't want to chance anything, especially in a playoff environment. I'd be shocked if he came back sooner, because you just want to have as much caution as possible when dealing with young players, especially players that you just drafted. There's no reason to bring him back too soon. So my guess is that the first you will see of Duran Holmes on the court will be in Summer League in July. That would be my expectation. I could be wrong about that, but who knows? Probably not wrong about that. All right. Let's get back to it and talk about Jaylen Pickett. Happy for Jaylen, first and foremost. 14 points, 9 assists last night, 0 turnovers, just continues to make good decisions and play within himself and do what he's being asked to do. But last night, he also played with a level of confidence that you get from just breathing a little bit and letting go a little bit and being willing to take some chances. And he took chances within the flow and didn't do anything too crazy. Some of it was just kind of, hey, I'm going to shoot this 3-pointer. I'm going to dribble through traffic here and see if I can make a play for my teammates, see if I can make a play for myself. And there was one play that he had where he dribbled literally in a circle under the rim and then finished on the left side of the rim after driving down the left side of the lane. Initially, he circled back through the middle of the lane to get to his left hand. Michael Malone joked that he looked like Bob Cousy out there, and it's 100% true. 100%. That is just funny and really awesome. And then he also had some impressive moments. He had a really nice dime to Zeke Naji in the middle of the floor when he was running pick and roll or DHO with Jokic. He just reads the floor so well. He lobbed one up to Zeke later. He hit a three in the left corner. He continues to make shots as well. And like these were kind of step back jumpers. These were pick and roll jumpers, just doing what he needed to do, creating off the dribble and getting to a spot that he was comfortable with shooting. And I'm not going to sit here and say that like that's going to persist for the entirety of his season or his career. Like it might not. But in this moment, at this time, Jaylen Pickett was an NBA player and continues to show that there is more to his game than he has had an opportunity to show so far in his NBA career. And been really, really cool to see him get this opportunity. You never wish injuries on anybody, but I do think that this injury to Russell Westbrook has helped the Nuggets. It's helped them show that they can win in other ways, that other guys can shine. They don't have to be extremely reliant on Russell Westbrook for this entire time. His style of play is definitely more like you have to kind of adapt to what he does. But now you open up the door for somebody like Jalen Pickett and you realize, hey, he's actually a pretty good point guard. There's a lot there that Denver can go to. And that they're not dead when one of their point guards goes down. Like I kind of thought that they would be heading into this season. And Jalen just came in, did exactly what he was supposed to do. And Oscar Pius says it here. His defense was tremendous. That alone should earn him a spot. I don't know about a spot in the rotation, like especially when everybody's healthy. But what I do know is that his defense has been good enough that you can justify throwing him out there more, even next to another point guard. He's been really good on defense. He's been really good on that end of the floor. And it's so noticeable when he's out there that he just sees the floor extremely well, reads the game, knows when he can take certain chances. And he got a couple of steals yesterday because he was in the right spot. And he also just defended really well while he was out there. So I loved it. I love watching it for somebody that we kind of buried at the beginning of the year. And I think rightly so, if I'm being honest. It was good to see him bounce back through that. And listening to him in the post-game presser, it was really interesting to see how he was processing that and to kind of get a window into what he was dealing with and how he handled it. He said he just kind of fell back in love with the grind by going to the gym and shooting and consistently working on his game and falling in love with the work. That's what you love to see from somebody like that. Michael Malone said he didn't feel sorry for himself. He wasn't somebody that was going to pout. He just tried to get back out there and get to work and put himself into a position where the next time he got an opportunity, he would be successful. And he has. He has been. Really, really cool to see. I've loved this for him. He has had a really rough go of it over the course of the beginning of his career. I don't know if this is going to translate to he is now an NBA player. It may not be. But what I do know is that when the Nuggets next throw him out there, they're going to do so knowing that he has been successful before, that he's proven it before. You don't get 14 points and 9 assists on 2 steals and are a plus 22 with 0 turnovers on accident. Like that just doesn't accidentally happen. He was dictating things. He was, I would say, the second best guard out there. Maybe third best because Christian's more of a wing, especially in this lineup. Jamal was probably the best guard out there. Jalen was second best. And then you can go over to Anthony Simons and Scoot Henderson, which is like, that's a big deal. That's a big deal. So credit to those guys. Credit to Jalen for taking advantage of the opportunity. Everybody, to a man, is happy for him in that locker room. You could see how happy everybody was. And you could see how happy Jalen was when he got that and one. And then did a little flex, huh? Did a little bit of a flex and show how strong he is. Show how strong he is as a player. He said that took him back to Penn State. and some of the moments that he had under the rim, just dominating physically at Penn State. Just really, really cool. He deserves this. Clearly has worked extremely hard to put himself into position to be successful, and you just love to see it. So, look, I don't know whether he's going to be a Nugget long term. He's under contract next year. He's got a team option after that. I don't know what's going to happen going forward. But what I do know is that he's given the Nuggets at least a chance over the course of the rest of the season to think very carefully about like not having to over-index on another point guard. So credit to him. He has stepped up and made this moment his. Really, really cool. All right, that's about it for this game. Julian Strawther also had 18 points. We talked about him a little bit on Locked On if you want to go check out that episode. Just he continues to handle himself reasonably well and got to the lane a lot. It was cool to see him finish at the rim. It's one of the things that he hasn't done as much of this year. He's really more of a three-point guy or a floater guy, but now he is also getting to the rim, which credit to him for doing so. And Oscar Paez does say here, also Julian played much better defense and navigating screens. That was not on the bingo card, not on mine either, but he is getting better this year. And something that Matt has said that's really stuck with me, Matt Moore, co-host over at Locked On, said that this year was going to be very difficult for Nuggets fans. But the goal of the season was going to be, how much better are you in game 82 than you were in game 1? With as much young talent as there is, as many players as there are that you have to sort of account for being young and inexperienced and maybe not put into positions immediately to be successful. How do you figure that out and navigate that and get yourself to being successful later in the season? Through game 54, we're about 2/3 of the way there. It does seem like the Nuggets are a better team than they were in game 1. I mean, undoubtedly going in the right direction. And like, you remember where Denver was and how much panic there was at the beginning when they faced OKC on opening night. Holy cow, that was a horrible team that we watched. And now they're looking like something better. So do I think they're going to advance all the way in the playoffs? Probably not. But I do think that they have a shot. They certainly have a shot. And they've proven that through hard work and consistency and finding some defensive pockets. But more than anything, they're just the best offense in the NBA right now. And led by Jokic, of course. All right. Naboya says, Ryan, if you remember, I asked about the 10-win streak when it started with Philly. Now it's 7 and still counting. Believe me, I'm a little bit worried. My eyebrows are a little bit worried, man. I'm definitely very worried about the idea of having to give myself a slit on pod. That's I'm a little concerned now, but they have to get to 12 wins in order to do that. So I might be safe at 10. But it is still well within rights, still well within range for them to be able to do it. Okay. Looking around the West standings really quickly before we get out of here, I put that on the rundown and wanted to go through it. OKC continues to dominate. They've won 6 games in a row, 8 of their last 10. They are not going to get caught. They are 43-9. The Nuggets are 35-19. So like they have a fair amount of wins, but they've got 10 more losses than OKC. So like there's no way that they're catching OKC. It's just not happening. Now, could they catch Memphis, who is 35-17? Absolutely. Like Denver has an opportunity to be the 2 seed. Interestingly, the Lakers are 32-19. So they are right on Denver's heels. They have won 6 games in a row and 9 of their last 10. Luka Doncic debuted for the Lakers last night, and obviously they won against the Jazz. That's not a surprise. But like they had to take advantage and they had to go do the work, and they certainly did. The Lakers, to me, like I'm still not sure who the Grizzlies are, if I'm being honest. The Lakers, I feel pretty comfortable. I know who they are. They are a team that has poor center talent, but extremely good forwards, extremely good and athletic and versatile forwards. And so is that going to make up for it against most teams? Absolutely. Like they are going to be able to be successful against most teams when they're using Rui Hachimura and LeBron and Luka Doncic and Dorian Finney-Smith and Jared Vanderbilt and other guys in the lineup as well. There's a lot of opportunities there. They also got back Dalton Connect from the trade that they made for Mark Williams, so they'll have enough shooting. They're going to be a great offensive team. The question is whether they have enough defense. Against the Nuggets, I don't think so. But against other teams, it wouldn't surprise me if they made a run if they didn't have to face Denver. So we'll see what happens there. Houston they won their last game, but they are 4-6 in their last 10. Houston's trending down. The Clippers, pretty mid, 29-23. They have they're 3.5 games below the Rockets, and they are 5 games back of the Nuggets. Only 4 losses, but 6 wins back. So there's a gap that's sort of forming here. There's 1 with OKC. There's 2 through 5 with Memphis, Denver, the Lakers, and the Rockets. And then the Clippers and the Minnesota Timberwolves kind of in their general range. The Mavericks are dropping, especially with the injuries that they are facing. I'm not sure how serious the Daniel Gafford injury is, but they've already lost Lively. They've lost Anthony Davis for close to a month. I think that Dallas may drop out of the playoffs. Like they're in a tough place. They started Kessler Edwards on purpose last night, and they lost that game, and they lost their starting center. So they're in a tough spot, folks. Like the Dallas may not be a factor that Denver has to even worry about this season in the playoffs. Sacramento, they're trying to figure some stuff out. They've won a couple in a row, but they're still 4-6 in their last 10 as well. Not sure who they are yet. They've got Jonas Valanciunas and Zach LaVine added to their group, but they don't have De'Aaron Fox anymore. They don't have Kevin Huerter anymore, so who knows what they're going to be. Golden State, though, they look good. They just beat Milwaukee. It was without Giannis, but they beat Milwaukee, and they beat Chicago. Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry, that's an interesting dynamic duo. Do I think they're going to do anything crazy? No. Do I think they're going to make the playoffs? Yes. I think they will stay above water there. They will probably take the place of Dallas. That would be my prediction. Phoenix, I'm not sure what they're going to look like. They still just don't have good enough health to figure out who they are. They are perfectly average, 26-26. And then San Antonio, can they make up the ground? Probably not. Portland, they certainly cannot. They were 10-2 in their last 12. I think Denver has proven that they are not at that place. So we will see. We will see what it ultimately looks like for Denver, but I kind of see the West developing into a few different tiers. You've got OKC at 1, Memphis, Denver, the Lakers, and the Rockets at 2 through 5. You've got the Clippers and Timberwolves that are kind of in that 6-7 range. We're going to see if they jump up a tier or down a tier. Not sure which one they are yet. And then Dallas, Sacramento, Golden State, and Phoenix. And maybe the Spurs. We'll see where they are. Okay. Going to be fascinating to see how this evolves. Denver's got one more game between now and the end of the All-Star break. They've got another game against Portland. It's very difficult to win these back-to-backs or these 2-game series. Denver just had one against New Orleans that they made look easy. I don't think this one's going to be easy. Portland they'll be trying to come out and figure some stuff out against Denver. Whether they can or not, that remains to be seen. That is going to do it now for this episode of Pickaxe and Roll, everybody. Brought to you by our good friends over at BetOnline. Thank you for hanging out today. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed the show. Let me know what else you want to see. Let me know what else you want to see and if I can work on some stuff during the All-Star break and then bring some more things to the table going forward. If you want to see more guests, if you want to see more graphics, if you want to see any of those other things, then I could try to work some of that in. Thank you for tuning into the show. Please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button all the way out if you enjoyed. I will talk to you guys very, very soon.